Ta-da! Without any further ado, thanks for showing up. Um,
Okay.
I started these things hoping that we'd get some people who may have some interest in improving their songs, and sometimes nobody shows. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you is to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Mark Stone. And I wanted to learn a little bit more about you. Um, you first kind of come in onto my radar as you were nominated for one of the Midwest CMO awards. And I was like, oh, and you're from Iowa. So, like
I'm from
the
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. See, now I had that wrong. Okay, this is why we do these things. Now we know
Somebody
things.
somebody messaged me a couple days ago, the guy who does the Midwest Drive, and we were setting up a time to do a little web thing, and at the end of the conversation he said, "Go Cyclones," because I think he thought I was from Iowa too.
Right on. Well, see here, yeah, so I guess the reason maybe thought you were from Iowa too is because like recently, like the org has taken on like we were like 200 some people and now we're like 300 some people, right? We took on like 100 people from onboarded like close to 100 artists from Iowa. So, um, yeah. So that's totally my mistake. But Wisconsin, that's cool. So go Packers then, right?
Well, unfortunately, I'm originally from Illinois, but
Oh, okay. So you're a little split in your allegiances.
yeah, but the a lot of Illinois people are Bears fans, so.
There you go. Yeah, right.
You guys got Bears and Vikings fans, I guess. You got a kind of a mixture out by you.
Yeah, mostly Vikings fans, but yeah, I'm sure there probably are a couple Bears fans here and there, you know. Right on. Right on. So Accuse Me was the first song that I heard by you, and I was like, oh man, I like that. Very nicely done, sir.
Thank
Can
you.
you can you tell me a little bit about your writing process and what kind of spurs you to put the lyrics to the page?
Well, usually it's just like I'll hear a phrase or somebody says something or a word or something random that piques my interest, and I'll just kind of make a note in my phone of it, and kind of when I have free time, go back through all these random notes I have in there. Most of them are like, why the hell did I write that? But once in a while, there's a good little line or something in there that I'm like, oh, that might be something we can build a song around. So it's usually lyrics first, maybe a verse or something or a chorus first, and then kind of build around that with music. But it's usually something I randomly think of or hear, and I try to write it down.
Right on. So do you when you're doing stuff and you know I'm learning as well as the audience is learning. So when you perform, do you do it with the whole band then, or do you normally do solo shows? How do you
It's a
normally
mix.
get out there?
It's a mixture. I do some solo stuff. I do some duo stuff. I do some full band. I much prefer to play as a full band, but a full band is always harder. If anybody out there is in a band, you know how hard it is to keep a couple people in line, let alone four or five people, or schedules and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a little bit of everything. Next month I'll be doing some shows as a full band with actually a few of the members backing me in that band are going to be Midwest Country Music Org members
Right on.
who will be doing some shows for me. So it's a little bit of everything.
Very, very cool. Right on. So then when you're talking about your process, have you been collaborating a lot or at all with some of the Midwest CMO members when you're doing some material? I just saw um Red Ramblin' Rose. I mean, that just popped up today.
Yeah, I was I've got two new songs that came out today that'll be part of an album coming out next month. But yeah, I rarely write with anybody. I One of the songs that came out today is called "Giving You Up," and that is literally the first song I've co-written with somebody. Um, because my process is so random, I have a really hard time of spontaneously I have a hard time scheduling time and sitting down even by myself and writing something because it always seems so forced. It always just seems like let's just make this thing up right here. And it just seems like it just seems made up. And for me, it's more about something just coming organically or randomly or spontaneously than it is sitting down and writing. The song "Giving You Up" that was co-written with a friend of mine named Matthew Douglas Simpson from Kentucky. I was playing some shows with him earlier this spring, and I was staying in a cabin in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky. And I said, "Well, he's a great songwriter." And I said, "Well, why don't you come to this cabin before I head out, and we'll try to write something." I'd never done it before, and he does it all the time. So he came over there, and I started write. I showed him a couple things that I was working on, and it was kind of like, he's just nodding his head, like none of it was really. You could tell he wasn't real thrilled about any of it. But and I said, "Well, I've got this other song, but I think it's already done." And I had thought it was done. And I started playing the chord progression for him, and he's kind of like, oh, I like that." And he kind of added a couple lines here and there a direction to it that I hadn't had, and it came out really well. So um, I'm looking forward to maybe collaborating more in the future.
Right on.
But that was my first time really doing that. I hadn't done that before. It's hard for me to just make stuff up on the spot.
I think I think for anybody, it's kind of hard to start. I mean, to start anything, let alone like just like you were talking about the band arrangement. You're not just talking about one relationship. Now you got four or five, depending on how big the band is, right? So I mean, I think it's hard to like jump into any of that and start. That's the hardest part to me. Like once you've done it and once you've started, then I mean, I think it gets easier. But to me, like I hear what you're saying. I used to not collaborate with anyone, and it was all just me, as a songwriter. So I get that. But I also I feel like I heard you say, and even though you didn't say exactly, I feel like I heard you say, collaborating with this guy who does it all the time actually kind of worked out and maybe took your song to a level that it kind of wasn't at, even though you thought it was kind of done before. Is that
Yeah,
sort
I
of
thought
what
it.
you said without saying it?
Yeah, I thought it was done. It probably would have been fine uh,
Sure.
the way I had it, but just a different perspective. It a different a structure I wouldn't have normally had, or
Hmm.
uh, a perspective, or a couple of phrasings that I wouldn't have come up with, which
Hmm.
added to the song. But for some people, it's really easy. Some people like him, they're so good at just walking in a room and just like, you know, throw something at the wall and can write a song about it. And
I,
I'm just, I think it probably takes a lot of practice to do that too. But I think some
time,
people are just naturally really good at improvisation and coming up with stuff on the spot. For me, it's just always, I think I can come up with the things. It just is always, I write mostly, um, you know, heartfelt kind of just personal things. And so a lot of times it feels, I don't want it to feel forced, that it's just totally made up and from a space that isn't, that I don't relate to.
right? No, I get that. But I totally understand what you're saying, and I get it. I also think that, you know, some of the times, some of the times the most heartfelt things that we say are conversations with other people, though. You know what I mean? And that conversation being a two-way street, I feel like sometimes if you have the right co-writer or the right collaborator, they're kind of pulling more stuff out of you than you would have given by yourself, to me. And I also get where, like, well, he's so good at it, and he just seems to be able to blah 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 blah, and throw it all out there. But I bet it, yeah, I bet it I'd almost bet $1 million that I don't have, so you can't hold me to it. But but if I did have $1 million, I'd put it down on they probably didn't start out that way, and it took some time in order to develop that muscle, right? Because like I don't know. We all want to be like fantastically talented, like right out of the gate, and that's great. But you know what they say, 9 times out of 10, hard work beats talent. So like working at something, mind you, now I'm not talking about trying to force a round peg in a square hole or a square peg in a round hole, but I feel like there's a way to exercise that muscle on a semi-regular basis, and it's almost like you you turn the writing faucet on at the cabin, and when you first open it up, that water is murky and kind of orange. But if you let the thing open for a while, it becomes cold, cool, clear water, and that's when you get the good stuff. If you're always
Yeah, I mean,
kind of open to it.
I'm looking forward to collaborating more in the future and getting my feet wet more in that aspect of it. It was a good experience, just a new one for me. I've been writing by myself for a long time, so
Right. Yeah. And I I I dig what you're doing. Which is why I was like, hey, I want to use some of these things to like meet some people I don't even know. Because I didn't know a lot about you before you come onto the radar via the Midwest CMO Awards. And I love the slogan, "Make country sad again." Because it kind of has it very harkens to the old, I think the old traditional style jukebox stuff where you know country music really pulled at your heartstrings, so that resonated with me.
yeah, I mean, country music is we've got battles right now. I don't know if you follow any of these people, but Charlie Crockett, Gavin Adcock, and Paul Cawthon are all fighting on the internet about who's more country or who's more cowboy, and it's like this nonstop battle of fighting of who's authentic and who's not. But let's face it, none of them are authentic. They're all copying somebody. Charlie Crockett was singing reggae songs on a subway track, 15 years ago, and now he's a cowboy. And Gavin Adcock, it looks like he wants to be Waylon Jennings. So, but country music was, a lot of it was singing about heartbreak, heartache, and hard times. That's what they sang about. That's what the feel of it was. And now a lot of it is so pop country and, singing about six pack in the back of their truck, which I just don't relate to. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's party music, right? I call it party peddler music. It's the if you go to Nashville and you go down Broadway and you got the bachelorette party peddling the little thing down the street, whooping it up to Morgan Wallen. That's what it is, right? That's it's fun. But
Yeah.
for me, I relate more to lyrics and storytelling, and that's kind of what country music was. So the album I have coming out next month, "Make Country Sad Again," is just kind of a response to that, as well as how many people would ask me, well, why don't do you write any love songs? Do you write any songs we can dance to? And it's kind of like, no, I write sad songs. And so I just doubled down on it. Like, no, I write sad songs. That's what I write, and this whole album's going to be sad. So if you want to listen to some music that's going to, maybe make you shed a tear, because we all need that once in a while too. There's plenty of other music you can go turn on at the bar and go, shake your ass to. But sometimes we need to cry too. So that's the direction I'm going. Kind of 70s, 60s and 70s, you know, country and soul and stuff like that. Something that's got feeling and not just attitude, and feeling and not just, powdered sugar.
Right on. I appreciate that. I appreciate that big time. Yeah, for
And
sure.
I trademarked the phrase "make country sad again." So
Oh, look out. Look out. All right. All right. That's all good. You might, if you're, and especially if you're going to be in that for the long haul, making some sad songs, you probably made the best
I mean
business move
that's
you
all
could
I've been
make.
that's all I've been doing the entire time I've written songs. So I should have probably came up with that a long time ago.
Oh,
But
God.
but it's done pretty well. I have merch, I have hats and stuff like that for sale with
Amen.
that on it and stuff, and people have really been drawn to it. You see me walking around with one on, and they're always looking at what it is and want to buy one. So it's a
Excellent.
cool phrase.
Works. It works. Do you have a song that's actually called Make Country Sad Again?
No, just the album title.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, you might, you might get around to that then at some point too. Your overall mantra.
yeah, well, I'm working on a song. Speaking of co-writing, I just thought of it now. The same guy I wrote that I was telling you about.
Okay.
We just we're working on a song now for a next project that really doubles down on talking about the direction of what country used to be and what country is now. And the one of the lines in it is, "I ain't built like Riley Green. I ain't got rhinestones on my jeans, but I can drink like a fish and sing like Chris Stapleton." Uh, and that's country enough for me. So,
Amen.
we're not backing down from the direction of country I'm doing.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. I love it.
You look at some of these this is supposed to be about songwriting, right?
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
the the songwriters behind all of those hits, if you go look at a Morgan Wallen record, more so before, now he's listed on a lot more, but there's like 8 writers on a song,
Yeah, I know.
and but his first few albums, and a lot of these guys, they're not even listed as one. They might be listed on a song 2 times out of 14 songs. You know,
Yeah,
the there's a completely different there's total difference in songwriting and performing. You know, guys like Morgan Wallen and uh, these pop country guys, or even just pop in general, they're performers. They can sing and they can perform and they look good, and that's their thing. But the people behind those, somebody or somebodies wrote those songs,
yeah.
and the reason that it's so popular is mostly because it's a well-written song that has a catchy hook, and they could have had somebody else that looked good and can sing do it too, and it probably would have been a hit.
Right.
So there's an art to songwriting, just as
For
much as
sure.
there is an art to performing. Uh,
Absolutely. Couldn't argue
it's
that
just
one bit.
it's just different. It's just guys like me. We got to be songwriters because we don't look good enough to get away with it as performers.
I have to say I'm in that very same boat myself. I mean, nobody's gonna go to one of my shows and really get a kick on me doing some skinny jeans.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah, and that's what
not
the
gonna
line in
work
this.
out.
That's what the line in this new song is. It's like, I ain't built like Riley Green. Well, Riley Green's okay, but let's face it. I mean, the women love him because he's a big jacked country boy with a mustache, right? Uh, I ain't got rhinestones on my jeans, and I say I can sing like Chris. Well, Stapleton's not the best looking dude. He's a heavy set guy. He's got a big old
Right.
scraggly beard, but the guy can write a song and he can sing better than anybody. So,
Yeah.
and he's still that popular and winning Grammys, not because of the way he looks, but the way he writes a song and
Right.
and performs that song. So
No,
there's still
one.
some of us out there that can do
Yeah.
that.
No, 100%. Also, you had mentioned you dropped Morgan Wallen's name a few times, and obviously, like the songs that are on, especially the first couple albums that people get, are all from. Usually, most of those people listed in the songwriting credits are from great big Nashville publishing houses, or whatever. Now, Chris Stapleton did probably the exact opposite road, where he basically, through his songwriting, financed his album from writing for other people.
Yeah.
It, you know, uh,
Well, because
um,
as labels would look at Stapleton in 2013 and go, well, this guy isn't a star, but he can write a song, right? He doesn't fit
right,
the look, he's not the guy. So
right,
we give his songs to these other people, and because they're great songs, but this good looking dude is going to sell it better than Chris Stapleton's going to sell it. And he just had enough of that and said, well, I want, I want to take my own songs and make hits out of them for myself. But
right.
yeah, it's a weird thing. Songwriting's a hard thing. It's not easy. Not everybody can do it.
It takes some intestinal fortitude, even just to start out, just via the volumes and volumes of product that's already out there. I think you have to be a certain kind of glutton for punishment in order to even partake in the exercise of doing so, honestly, you
Well,
know.
if you're gonna be putting it out in the public, for sure.
For sure.
I know a lot of people that write songs and they never see the light of day, and mostly because of that. It's once it's out there, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
Right.
it's yeah, you better love music and playing it and writing it and putting it out there, because number one, you're probably not going to make any money doing it, and you know you might not get the views you wished you had, or the streams you wished you had, or any of those things. And we just keep doing it though, because you just love to do it, and you kind of know when the song hits that there's going to be some disappointments if
Right.
if you're valuing your song based on how many views your Instagram reel got,
Right.
which we
Right.
all fall into that trap, myself included. So it
Right.
it can be daunting when you think you have a great song, and but you're not a social media marketer, and it doesn't go as big as you wish it did. It doesn't mean it's a bad song. It just,
No. Yeah.
it just is
Yeah.
what it is. It's such a huge void out there of stuff, it's, millions. I think it's over, like, it's 100 and some thousand songs per day hit Spotify. So, are they all good? Hell no. So, but some of them are going to become popular and yours isn't, and they might not be good either. It's
Yeah,
a
well,
luck of the draw at that point.
Baby Shark is popular. That don't make it a good song.
It's catchy, man. Now you mentioned
But
that, now people are going to be
but
Baby Shark is going to be in their head.
it is catchy. I mean, but come on now. I'm just saying. No,
Hey, I don't I mention these people and I mention Wallen and I mention these, people that are hugely popular, not that I don't have anything against them actually in
no,
reality. I'm not going to listen to it, but it has its place.
for sure.
It's obviously, you know, hundreds of millions of people around the world love it. It is what it is. But
Right,
um, when it comes to songwriting, most of those popular songs are not written by the guy that's singing it, or the girl that's singing it.
right.
So,
Well, most people
so
in your average bar do not realize that. I think a
no,
lot of
and they're not
people
going to go
in
on their
general
phone
don't
when they're
realize it.
listening to the song and go look at the credits.
And where can you look at the credits anymore anyway? Because it's all streaming, so it's not like the writer's byline is underneath the artist. It's
Yeah,
usually not.
I try to put all my stuff on there and so that you can see on the streaming platform, whatever you use usually has some kind of credit you can scroll through. But yeah, a lot of them don't. So you got
Right,
to do some digging. And as songwriters and musicians, we tend to go look and see, well, I wonder who wrote that song, and then you see that Hardy wrote 90% of his album,
right.
and six other guys. But yeah, John Q. Public isn't going to go look that stuff up.
Nope.
They just assume that that person wrote it and that they're not just a great performer, that they're also a great songwriter, which is rarely the case. Rarely the case that somebody has both.
Yeah, I think it is hard to be both. Or you can be a great musician and you could I mean, I always bring up Steve Vai. Steve Vai is probably one of the world's most virtuoso guitar players ever. But how many hit songs does he have? None.
Or guys
You
that are
know,
great guitar players and stuff, but couldn't write a song if they tried.
right, right, right. And it's like kind of wild, I mean, uh to think about, but also then there's guys that maybe aren't necessarily virtuosos, just like regular players that, I mean, and they can write some great songs. Well, look at that. My 10-minute warning jumped up. So we only got 10 more minutes, but
All right. Well, ask away then.
ask
You got 10 minutes.
away. Yeah, well, we got kind of some of my major questions out of the way. And from where in Wisconsin then are you from originally?
I'm in Door County, which is the thumb of Wisconsin, but just north of Green Bay.
Also, okay, right on. So you're kind of close then to, I get it. That's the close proximity to Chicago-ish,
Yeah, it's all lake.
Illinois
It's all
kind of.
lakeshore.
Yeah,
We're 3-4 hours away from Chicago.
right on. Do you do some shows out that way ever?
Yeah, I travel all over. I stopped doing the. I don't have to play music as a job. A lot of people are, they're writing music and they're recording music and they're putting stuff out there, but a lot of their gigs are bar gigs where they're playing 4 hours of cover songs and really grinding, but that's where the money is. I don't have to do that. So, I travel around and do mostly uh, original music shows. So next month the album comes out, and then I'll be playing in Appleton, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Madison, and then I'll be in Mason City, Iowa, uh,
Huh?
on October 23rd. Um,
Right on.
Chicago on the 22nd, Southern Illinois. I'll be doing some shows in Kentucky and Ohio and that kind of stuff. And then in January, a few of us from the Midwest org are doing a 2 week tour down to Texas and the Southwest. So
Nice, very cool. So, for my folks who are gonna catch this replay on YouTube, what's the best place to get digitally to get all the information that is Eric Hagen? And did I pronounce that last name right?
Hagen,
Hagen. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That's don't worry, that's not the worst I've heard. Uh,
Okay.
uh,
I'll take pride in that.
A-hole sometimes is
Oh no, that's a mispronunciation, I believe.
it's way off, but I don't know where they get it. But you can go to erichagenmusic.com, which will have tour dates and all that kind of stuff. And Eric Hagen Music on any social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I don't do TikTok, so sorry for anybody who's looking for TikToks. I'm not on TikTok, although my kids would probably enjoy that. Um, but yeah, just search Eric Hagen Music on anything, and you're gonna find me. So,
Wonderful.
and if a lot of your people around Iowa, uh, October 23rd is at Bricks Wine and Whiskey in Mason City, Iowa. It's a really cool place that I've gone to for the last few years that I stumbled upon like 4 years ago randomly. And they are a huge supporter of original music, and they have music every week, all week long. Um,
Wonderful.
and they've just moved into a nice new bigger space. And so me and the guy I mentioned that I co-wrote with, Matthew Douglas Simpson, he'll be joining me for that leg of the tour. So it'll be us two doing some stories and song for the evening on October 23rd.
Nice. How about some Minnesota ones? Anything in Minnesota?
Not on this run. I did last March and the year before in Minneapolis, but not on this run. We'll try to get back
Okay.
over there again.
Right on. Right on.
I find
Uh,
I find Minnesota to be uh, much harder for me than anywhere else. I can go play a show in Nashville, next week, but if I want to try to play a show in Minneapolis, it's like, you know,
I get it. Yeah. The only reason I get a bunch of shows is I don't use any of those agents anymore. But I do know that like the agents have a lot of the rooms kind of locked in. And unless you're coming in via another artist, uh, it is probably harder to get in here than other places. And
it is. It's interesting. I've found it to be pretty difficult to do stuff in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I mean, I've played in other places in
sure,
Minnesota is a little easier, but the Twin Cities is
yeah,
it has been more difficult. Like I'm going, the Josie Music Awards are in Nashville,
yeah,
beginning of November. A lot of us are going down. And, I hit up my favorite place, Dee's Country Cocktail Lounge. I've never played there, but I hit them up. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in town. And it was like, yeah, sure. You want to play on this date at this time? That sounds good. But
yeah. No, Vam. Yeah, that's very cool, and congratulations on that. I spent a little time in Texas because one of the albums that I recorded was down at Music Lane Studios, so just outside of Austin, and like I loved it down there, and it was just the same exact thing that you said was like it was way easy to contact bar manager or owner and get in there, and it is tougher here, I think, than anywhere
yeah.
else.
Yeah, speaking of studios, I'm in my recording studio here. I have
Wonderful.
a professional studio here at the Tambourine Collaboratory, which is owned by Pat McDonald of Timbuk3, who you probably know of.
Oh
My
yeah.
Future's So Bright, I Gotta Wear Shades.
And you're
Uh,
wearing some now. Yeah,
Jackson Brown owns part of the building here.
right
Um,
on.
so if anybody's looking for any space to get away from their usual space, I do outside recording here. Actually, have some people from the organization that are coming later year to do some recording too. So,
Very cool. Very, very cool. Right on.
and maybe we can write a
Sounds
song together,
fun.
and we
I
can record, and then we can record it.
I love all of that idea. This is my little space right here. Yep. The thing that makes it's especially fun to collaborate with somebody who has studio access, because then you can take and bounce ideas and back and forth. That's one of the miracles of the internet.
Yeah, and
I think.
have good recordings that you bounce back and forth instead of phone recordings.
Yeah, yeah, but those phone recordings are very much
Oh,
a
it's
part
great.
of the
Yeah, great for
process.
songwriting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
just mean like if you were writing a song with somebody remotely, they could cut their part at the studio and send it to
yeah,
you, and you can mix it, rather than a phone recording. So it is nice, but
yeah, yeah, right on. But yes, but I just think about that. Like sometimes I actually go back to paper. You know what I mean? Like I'll take and just to organize things, and also I feel like sometimes when I'm writing a song and I write it all out and it's on paper, for some reason I remember it better. I don't know what that is,
I
but
haven't gone back to that, but I do need to start at least putting in like what I was playing, type it in on my phone because like I'll record a phone demo of something quick, and then I'll go back and listen and go, what the hell chords am I playing here? What am I in a different tuning on this? What am I doing? Was my guitar in, open G? What the hell is this? And it's like I got to try to figure out what I was playing.
that's wonderful. But I also I can appreciate that. I usually try uh, to make that note because I've been in the same
I'm
situation,
horrible.
like
I'm
like
horrible at
just
that. I'll
just to,
write down all the words. I'll do a phone demo and then I forget to write what I was actually playing.
yeah, start G, because that's the chord I started with or something, just at the front of it, and then
I
write
don't know
down a
why I
couple.
don't. I don't know
Uh,
why I don't.
yeah.
Maybe it makes it better. Maybe I totally change it or something. I don't know. I probably shouldn't mess with it.
Thanks for coming on, though, Eric. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
you having a conversation with me. And this will I'll send you a link via messenger of the edited version when I finish that. But I really do appreciate you taking some time and introducing yourself not only to me but the members in the org that'll catch this.